So I've been sharing from platform how I am in the midst of, like most of us, change, transformation. And I have been sharing how I have been wrestling with that, how that has been showing up for me. And I gotta say, I'm really glad we're at New Beginnings. Because there has been something in this process as we've been walking through this that has been opening doors within me in terms of this process of change and transformation. And while in Unity we are so excited by new beginnings, as I have been sharing, there is this whole process that we need to go through in order to truly own and live into that transformational process fully and powerfully. So it always is going to start with some sort of an ending. Something is going to end. There's going to be something that is closing. There's going to be some sense of loss. And then, as I talked about last week, we get to enter into that wonderful, joyful place called the void, where we're wandering in the wilderness. And Robert Grummet, in Finding Yourself in Transition, uses as the story of the wilderness, the story of the exodus of the Jews from Egypt. And that process of uplifting our consciousness is beautifully laid out within that story. So where we left off last week was that the Israelites were wandering around in the desert. Because in order for us to move past our old understanding, in order for us to grow past the habitual ways that we live in the world, that perhaps have become ingrained, that perhaps have become a little indoctrinated within us, there is this period where we just kind of feel super lost. And that's where the Israelites are for 40 years before they can step into the promised land, before they can step into this new beginning. And I shared with you the poignancy of how Moses, who is the catalyst, as Misa helped me with that word last week, the catalyst for the transformational up-leveling of our consciousness, that part of who we are, because I want to be clear here, I'm not talking about a Moses that lived thousands of years ago. I'm talking about how that Moses lives as you, in you, showing up within you, and that Moses within you that is always saying, yes, more, larger. You are so much more love. You are so much more grace. You are so much more creativity. You are so much more. That part that pulls you upward, that part is still part of the old consciousness. Can you feel the poignancy in that? So Moses doesn't get to enter into the promised land because that is for the new, the fully reborn, the fully new understanding. So the ending is where it starts, and I just love this quote because I think it's so apt. When I let go of what I am, I become what I might be. And that's what this entire process is about. When we are making the most of change, we are embracing the fact that we can let go of who we understand ourselves to be. And sometimes that's voluntary, and sometimes that's not. Sometimes what's happening in your life is just pushing you into something. And when we grasp and hold on to it, all we do is increase our suffering. When we are willing to embrace the change, the transformation that is our very breath, then we can become what we might be. So when we're wandering in the wilderness, which I've been in now for a while, wandering in the wilderness, there's a piece of me that just wants it to be over, right? I just want it to be done. I just want to know what I'm supposed to be doing. I just want to know what that next step is supposed to be. I just want to know. Big surprise, I'm a doer. right? I like to activate things. That's part of me, right? And so to be in the wilderness where I don't know what to activate is probably about as close to torture as I could possibly live with. And yet, this is such fertile time. Because while I'm in the wilderness, it's like I'm being softened up. It's like I'm being sort of moldable. All of my strength and my activation is softening so that a new possibility can make itself known. But I have to say that when you're in it, it feels like you're in the fog. Anybody here relate to that? You just can't see. There's nothing to see. You turn around no matter what direction you're going, and it just feels like you're in the soup, in the goo, as I like to say too. And then if you just stay with it and don't push it, all of a sudden something starts to appear. And you can't really make sense of it at first either. It's just something is starting to make itself known. And then out of all of that, all of a sudden, there's this awareness of options. You can see that there are places where you can make a choice. You still don't know what you're choosing, but there is options for choice. There is a place for you to activate something, but what do you activate? Now, it's in this phase that we're the most vulnerable to falling back into our old habits. Because our old habits are going to take us like a beeline right to the door that we already know, right to the place that is already familiar. And it's in this space that it's even more crucial that you just continue to sit and to listen. Now, if you remember, I talked about the murmuring, right? The Israelites in front of when they get to Mount Sinai and Moses is gone and they start murmuring. And the murmurings are the voices of fear and doubt and worry and anxiety. So in this moment, the invitation is to listen to the murmuring of your heart, to listen to that still, small, quiet voice. And as you continue to listen for that clarity, not making it happen, but listening deeply, all of a sudden, exactly what your next step is becomes crystal clear. Evident. Oh, here. This is what is mine to do. This is where new beginnings truly are leaving you in a place where you are being up-leveled, where you are lifting yourself out of an old understanding and allowing yourself to be carried, you don't really know where, but you will be carried into a new space that's not outside of you. So while the Israelites are out there hunting for the promised land, the way they make it sound, at least when I was in Hebrew school, it was, the Jews wandered and wandered and wandered and wandered, and then they found the promised land. Like they were blind the whole time, right? And in some ways we are when we're in the wilderness. Like I said, it's all gray. But the thing is that the promised land is not something outside of you. The promised land is the divinity that you are within you, and it is always seeking to express itself more powerfully, more joyfully, more compassionately, more lovingly. So what we are consciously choosing to create for ourselves when we step into making the most of change is that rather just allowing ourselves to be sort of caught up in something. And we all do, the universe will take care of it. You hear that a lot. Oh, that thing out there is somehow going to make it all okay. It's here. And your work, your job, your commitment is to listen to the murmurings of your heart so that you know exactly what it is that you are stepping forward into. And if you don't know, guess what? You don't just do something, except the one thing you do is continue to listen, because the wisdom is there. The wisdom is within you. And what we know is that in new beginnings, it's what we're seeing out there in our world is an expression of what is going on here in our consciousness. So this is where the work starts. And then you will get to see it in new ways out there in your experience, which then inform you. You're having a new experience. It informs you. And from there, you can then, yet again, listen, make a new choice. So when we get into new beginnings, we are starting to activate something. We are starting to move into the activation of the truth of who we are. And I want you to think about little chicks in the eggs, right? They're in their egg, and that egg is their whole world. That egg is everything that they need. It has all the food, all the nutrients. That egg, they know the edges of it. They know all of it. And it's awesome for them. And then there is the point where they have to break through. There's that impulse within. You have that same impulse that is driving you towards the evolution of your divine self. And as you break through an old understanding and you move into a new world, it is as large and as different as what that baby chick is experiencing, coming from this small little safe space and breaking forward. And there's a fragility to it. When you think about a little baby chick, there's a fragility to it. There's a gentleness that needs to be brought to how we nurture that little chick into a grown chicken, right? But there's something in there that's gentle. So all you have to do is take the first step. That's it. I know we catch these visions, we catch these divine ideas, and we see it, and we can feel it, and it's so big. And this is truly how you know whether you have caught a divine idea or whether it's your own sort of like limited understanding of what you think you can do. If it feels big and overwhelming, that's a divine idea. If it feels manageable and I got this, that's just your little personality telling you what it already knows that you know how to do, making sure that you feel safe and comfortable and competent. When we're talking about new beginnings, we're talking about breaking into new territory, a whole arena that you have not actually lived into before. So while you may catch this vision of the idea of it, all you need to do to activate it is take that first step. And from that first step, you listen, and you can take the next step. And ultimately, you will end up climbing to the top of the mountain. As Albert said, we'll move mountains. That is what will happen. But we keep our focus aligned on the truth of who we are, activated and listening to the murmuring of our heart, not the murmuring of our fears. So the qualities that we want to activate in our new beginnings are clearly faith, the knowing that we are supported, the knowing that everything that we need we have and more, courage, because it does take courage to step outside of the familiar, right? And patience. This is the one I struggle with, big surprise. Patience. We have to be willing to sit in the not knowing, to sit in step one and not yet quite know what step two is. And then that receptivity, where we're actually truly listening to our heart, to our soul, however you want to our divine wisdom, whatever the language is for you in that. And then we have to hold ourselves and everyone around us in compassion. Because guess what? They're in the same space as you. Everybody in here, everybody you interact with in some arena of their life is like that little baby chick breaking through into a new understanding. So that compassion that we bring to ourselves is also something that we invite us to hold and to engage with others. And then the last piece is commitment. We need to commit to our conscious evolution and growth. And we need to commit to our understanding that we are supported and sustained, which takes us right back to faith, right? And all of these working together enable us to step into a new beginning and truly be made new, truly be engaged in life from a different perspective. Carl Jung, for those who don't know me, shadow work is like my thing. And Carl Jung is someone who I just love. And I particularly think that this quote sort of sums this up, right? Your vision will become clear only when you look into your heart. Who looks outside dreams, who looks inside awakens. We are here to awaken. We are here to be the living presence of who and what we are, fully as we can on this step until I take the next step, and then I get to express it even more fully and more powerfully. We are here to awaken to the truth of who we are. So let's just take a breath together as we breathe into that idea that we are here to allow the new understanding to make itself known, to be compassionate, to be patient, to be present with everything that is arising within us. So it's Rosh Hashanah, right? Tonight is the first night of Rosh Hashanah. And it is a holiday that is the Jewish New Year, right? It is literally the New Year. So I thought it was very apropos that with Rosh Hashanah happening tonight. And with Rosh Hashanah, we're going to step into what's known as the 10 days of awe. Isn't that awesome? 10 days of awe. And then it closes with Yom Kippur. And the process from Rosh Hashanah to Yom Kippur is like a miniature version of this change and transformative process that I've been laying out for you. So it's a new beginning, something's falling away, the old year is falling away. And we have 10 days, 10 like 40 is a number of completion metaphysically. So we have 10 days to look back, to sort of be present to what's arising, pay attention so we can end well, allowing ourselves to be in the not knowing. And on Yom Kippur, which is the Day of Atonement, which is at 1 mint, on that day of at 1 mint, we are allowing ourselves to let go of last year and truly step in a new way with a new understanding for this brand new year. And we have an expression that we say in Hebrew, which is Shana Tova, which means a good year, right? Shana Tova, a good year. So I want you to turn to somebody around you, and I want you to say to them, Shana Tova.
Shana Tova.
Turn to somebody else and say that too.
Shana Tova.
Shana Tova, a good year. This is a holiday where we eat apples with honey. Yeah, it's all sweet, and so it may be a sweet and wonderful year. So downstairs, I did bring some apple honey cake. I don't know if there's any left, because it's good. But that's my invitation to all of us. Shana Tova, a good year. Knowing that the year is whatever that cycle is within you. Whatever that timetable is within you. It's not about the calendar. It's about your personal process for transformation. Shana Tova. Let's take this into our time of meditation.